Welcome back to Kiesel News, everybody. For today, we start off with news that a new Game of Thrones game is in development. Apparently, it's going to be an MMORPG, even though it's made by Nexon, which has made games like The Finals. So, it seems like they have experience with the PvP genre, and they're being handed an MMO, so I don't know how that's gonna go. And even if it did go well, the project would probably be canceled anyways, as almost every single Game of Thrones related project has been canceled, aside from House of the Dragon, and the others are just up in the air. Rivaling Star Wars with the amount of canceled projects, bro. No one can get that far, I guess. Speaking of Star Wars, we finally have Skeleton Crew news, and it's supposed to be coming this year. This is the first news drop that we've gotten in like almost a whole year, it seems like. But Carrie Condon is going to be starring in it. Carrie Condon plays Mike's daughter-in-law in Better Call Saul, and she did a great job with that role. So I'm definitely excited to see her in this. But I mean, all she did was describe the series as adventurous. No way. Star Wars adventurous? I never could have guessed. I thought it was going to be a classical period piece musical. Next up, the story for Happy Death Day 3 has been figured out. I didn't even know that they made a sequel, unless the remake that they did counts as the sequel. Blumhouse really is just pumping out the sequels and remakes, it seems, though. One thing I will give the Happy Death Day franchise credit for is a somewhat interesting premise of waking up in an alternate universe. It's better than just, oh, there's another killer that we have to kill. Ooh. Like, that's the thing that's always pissed me off with Halloween and Jason, Friday the 13th, is how similar they were, and yet they're both equally popular, even though they're so similar. Obviously, I'm not hating on those franchises, as they're complete classics. You can't have horror without them, but I'm just saying. I'd rather see Happy Death Day get an inventive sequel rather than have Halloween just be Michael Myers coming back for the 10th time. Next up, I'd like to give my thoughts on the Disney Hollow tile. I think it could definitely be used for like a good trippy experience with friends or whatever. Like, let's say you're like, oh yeah, let's go do some weed and then put this on. Like, imagine being already high on drugs and then you go and you do this. Because it's like VR to the next level. Because your brain thinks that you're moving when you're not. However, people are acting like this is the next coming of Christ, and I really don't think so, because there's really no super practical use for this. It's just a fun thing, which there's nothing wrong with that, but people are acting like this is gonna cure cancer, it's gonna bring your dad back. Hell, maybe it'll even end world hunger. That's not the case. But I suppose having something like this will at least make Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse drop in value even more. Maybe that's more important than finding the cure for cancer anyway. Next, we have another episode of stupid ass executives canceling shit that actually sounds interesting in favor for the same reproduced bullshit. Nice. This time around, Bob Odenkirk and David Cross were gonna be involved. Fucking, that would have been such a cool combination. Fucking Saul Goodman and the Alvin and the Chipmunks guy. Not to distill David Cross like that, but that's where I know him from mostly. And the plot sounded so interesting too, being a comedy about rival cult gurus manipulating the minds of their deluded followers, according to Discussing Film. And honestly, I do not think I have ever heard a plot that's exactly like that before. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of cult shows, but you rarely see one that goes for the absurdity comedy angle, which would have been really cool to see. This just proves that marketing people don't know what will sell, man. Like, come on. I guarantee you there'd be so many people that would watch this, as you would appeal to so many different audiences. You would appeal to the people who are watching it for the comedy and who hate cults, and you would also drive in all of the super religious people who that's their entire life, right? You could appeal to both sides. I wanted to also address something that Jerry Seinfeld said, where he's blaming wokeness on why there's no good sitcoms anymore. I think he does have a point to a bit of an extent, a little bit, on how comedy has gotten softer than it should be allowed to. As comedy, you should be allowed to make fun of absolutely everything, right? But I just don't understand why Jerry Seinfeld is the one saying this. The show that he's known for, fucking named after himself, is probably one of the most safest comedies of all time. It's absolutely amazing. I love it to death. I love Seinfeld, but it's all in all pretty safe. So if anything, it proves that safe comedy can work. So yeah, I don't know what Jerry's on. He keeps talking out of his ass. To end off today, I'm going to be talking about the new Lion King Mufasa trailer. And someone on the crew named Barry Jenkins said that it has stuff from the canon that is alluded to, but it's very much its own thing. What the fuck is he talking about? It's literally called Mufasa the Lion King, and it has Simba and the rest of the family in it. It's very much a prequel. They're not alluding to anything. It's a full blown prequel to the original movie. They're really trying to act like this movie is gonna be original, but I guarantee you it's just gonna end up being a rehashed version of the original Lion King, but just with Mufasa in Simba's place at this point. Lastly, for today, it has been confirmed that there's going to be a live-action Scooby-Doo series releasing, and I already know that it's going to be better than Velma, as Scooby-Doo is in the title. Also, the fact that the producer, Greg Berlanti, has also developed Superman and Lois and You gives me hope for this series. It may end up making it worse in the long run, as it may try and go for that CW feel of being too dark and edgy for what Scooby-Doo is prepared to be, but it could also work out in its favor, appealing to older audiences like Velma, but actually doing it right, at least hopefully. Like, if this is gonna be similar to You, then what if we actually get to see the potential serial killers that the gang hunts down actually kill people gruesomely? I feel like that'd be hilarious.